Welcome to Honestly, We're Learning, a podcast from ClearEdge, the marketing agency that also helps marketers grow their careers. Join Leslie Vickrey and Leslie Cardec as we explore the turning points that shape a person's professional story, the highs, the stumbles, and everything in between. We'll bring you candid conversations with leaders and rising talent, plus our own take on what's changing in marketing and recruiting today. Because behind every success story is a few lessons learned the hard way. And honestly, we're all still learning.
Okay, we're back.
Hey, Leslie.
We're back, connection. I'm excited to jump into Myla's episode today, but I want to reflect on a conversation we had, and I hope you don't mind that I'm bringing it up in front of,
We'll see. What is it?
what am I going to say? I recently called you Kris Jenner.
The Momager.
The Momager.
Oh my gosh.
Because when I think of Kris Jenner, she is like, in charge of a lot of different careers of the Kardashians. And sorry, if anyone hates them, just keep it to yourself. But I called Leslie Kris Jenner because recently you went to VidCon with Grayson, and you had a great time and everything, but you kind of took it a step further in multiple ways. I'll let you share.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is the Saturday Night Live skit where the news anchors, Colin and Che, don't tell each other what they're going to talk about, and then they just like drop it on them once a year. Okay, so yes, I am officially a momager. I've actually posted about this on LinkedIn before, like the letting go and letting your kids kind of find their way and so forth. So, Grayson is super creative. He has a YouTube channel. VidCon, for those who don't know, is a conference, basically a convention for YouTubers, TikTokers, the people who are content creators. And we spent, 3 days there in Anaheim, California. We surprised Grayson for his 10th birthday because he's been asking to go for years now. And we said, you know what, let's surprise him for his 10th birthday. Double digits, big deal. He loves creating. He loves doing videos. We'll take him. So leading up to it, I asked him, who are your favorite creators? I used AI to help us create a schedule. And then I would prep him, well, we're going to sign up for these meet and greets. Who do you want to prioritize? We get these meet and greets set up. My biggest fear, Leslie, was, I get nervous seeing people. These people are YouTube famous to him. So he's nervous.
So just to be clear, this is like the equivalent of like, for Grayson to see these YouTube stars is what the equivalent of.
I mean, I don't want to say it's as much as like me meeting Eddie Vedder, but it kind of is. Like I would probably be like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? So I was trying to help prep him, and we did it together. What do they specialize in? Blah, 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 just so he'd be prepared. Okay, I am mortified, Leslie. So we do all of this prep. We get there. It's hours beyond hours of standing in lines to meet these people. And they were so gracious. They were super kind. Families were there.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is just seeing like the families of the creators there, getting the kids excited, handing out swag, supporting their kids. It was really cool to see, I have to say. And when I say hours to meet them, it could be 3 to 4 hours to meet one person or a group of people creator-wise. So imagine that was our days were set up that way.
God.
So now Grayson's getting up to meet a creator he loved. He's hyperventilating. He's like, like what is happening? What is going on? So I didn't realize how much of a momager I was until, which I think this is what you're talking about. One of the things, I was taking video, and Colin, my husband, was with me. I'm like, I'll do the video, you do the pictures. So I'm doing the video, and in the replay, I could hear myself on the video saying, Grayson, don't forget, you have a gift for J-Man Curly, that he created this cute little stuffed animal and had like, this J-Man Curly thing on it and signed his YouTube channel on the back of it. And I'm like, don't forget to give it to him. So we get out of that moment, and Grayson looked at me as he does when I turn momager. It's like, next time, you don't need to talk. You don't need to tell me, what to do. so on and so forth. So I don't pick up on it until I hear the video. And I did apologize to him later. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I must have gotten nervous and excited for you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
went a little over the top. Okay, so fast forward, we get home and, all these kids are there handing out business cards with their YouTube handle on it and, trying to get people to follow them. So he was fascinated and asking the kids, how did you create that? Exactly what program did you use? And he doesn't quite get what I do being in
Yeah.
marketing, but I said, buddy, I think I can help you with that.
He
So
might know someone.
he has business cards now. So Momager came through. They're printed. The funniest thing is he's afraid to give them out because he thinks these are the only 100 cards he'll ever have.
Oh my
Where I'm like,
gosh.
"Well, they reprint them," trying to educate him, so you're reminded of it. I'm like, "Don't worry, Momager will take care of you."
Oh my god. Does he have a business address on it?
No, he has his YouTube handle in a QR code
Oh
to
my
get to
gosh. I love it.
his
I
handle.
love it.
But yeah, I guess I am a little bit like Kris Jenner. I don't know, I just take over in that moment,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, "Okay, let's go. Let's do" whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he, as he always does, Leslie, puts me in the place of like, "I got this, mom. Thank
Yeah.
you, but I got this." And he was
Yeah.
right. So after that, I was like, "Okay, I need to
Yeah.
not
It's
say."
hard. It's hard to, like, not jump in, and it's the perfectionist too in you, I think, and a lot of people who wanna jump in and make everything perfect, right?
So he's in part of VidCon, there's GorillaCon, which Gorilla Tag is a VR game that he loves to play. So a lot of VR famous people there are there. Founder of Gorilla Tag, founder of Scary Baboon, these are games he loves. So he's out of his mind excited. We go to GorillaCon in the VidCon stage center, and they're doing this competition on stage. And they ask for audience members to participate. Well, we're way back. And
Mhm.
Grayson's, like, me. They call on him. And he's like, me? And the guy says, yes, you come up, and we're like, oh my gosh, he got called up on stage. So he, works his way up. Now he's in the back. So it took him a while to get up. And by the time he got up there, they had started the competition. And the security guard, he got on stage and they said, you need to get off of stage. His little heart, Leslie, was so broken. I mean, it was like, so the momager and me woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, should I have walked him up there? Should I have gone up there and been like, no, he called him, hey, you up here. Like, you called him up here.
Aw.
He's coming up, like helped him because he's 10 years old. But I also realized, and this is something I've written about before too, you have to have those moments to grow and realize that not everything's going to go the way you think it's
Yeah.
going to go. So
Aw.
after he recovered, he was like, well, do you want me to show the two of you, me and Colin, what I was going to do up on stage? We're like, absolutely. We're like, oh my gosh, that would have been hysterical. It's all good. So he was fine, but it was one of those moments where the mama Jeremy was like, I should have taken control. And at the end of the day, I knew, no, I needed to let him
Aw.
live in that moment of that feeling, as hard as it is as a parent, but
Oh gosh.
and then teach him to, a lesson like use your voice, you were called up, all the things, but it happened for a reason, and, he still talks about
Oh, it's
it.
so tough.
One of
That's
those
so
lessons
tough.
he'll take with him, yeah.
Oh, well, I love that. Well, I'm not gonna call you Chris for very long, just this episode, so
Tune in, QR code here.
if anyone needs promotional items for their for their individual
Don't even
escapades.
get me started. AI is amazing for
I
mocking
know,
the
you showed me other things. I'm not gonna go into it. We're gonna
All right.
cut it here.
All right, let's get into the episode. Myla, we're coming for you. Today, we're excited to welcome Myla Ramos, founder and CEO of SearchPros, an enterprise workforce solutions provider built around one simple but powerful idea: people and performance should work hand in hand. As a national leader in managed service programs, total workforce solutions, and staff augmentation, SearchPros helps organizations streamline contingent labor, strengthen compliance, and connect with top-tier talent. But SearchPros is also the product of Myla's remarkable personal journey. She grew up in a small province in the Philippines and immigrated to the United States at a young age, carrying with her a deep respect for hard work, humility, relationships, and opportunity. That journey took her from working as a recruiter into senior leadership over the course of a decade before she left to build SearchPros from scratch. Over the past 21 years, she's grown it into an entirely self-funded, debt-free, with no outside investors. Those values have not only shaped the leader she became, but the culture and mission of the company she co-founded in 2005. Myla has spent her career as an entrepreneur, a business leader, and passionate advocate for people first hiring. She has been recognized among the most 100 most influential people in staffing and the Global Power 150 Women in Staffing, and was named a 2025 EY Entrepreneur of the Year Bay Area Award winner, among many other honors. And yet, what stands out most about Myla isn't simply what she has accomplished, it's the stories behind it all. And let me tell you, I know firsthand, she has fascinating story after fascinating story about her journey, the people she has met, the challenges she's overcome, and the lessons she's learned along the way. So many, in fact. I personally think she needs to write a book. And I can honestly say that I have rarely, if ever, seen a company or an executive give back more than Myla and SearchPros do. Your commitment to supporting communities, creating opportunity, and helping others, it's not a side initiative. It is woven into who they are. So if there's one thing that comes through immediately when you talk to Myla, it's that she doesn't see hiring as a transaction. She sees it as the foundation everything else gets built on. That perspective has shaped SearchPros into a firm known not just for filling roles, but for helping companies grow the right way, with intention, with purpose, and with people at the center of every decision. Myla, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. Welcome to the show.
Yikes. I'm gonna need to put that recording in a pocket for the bad days and keep that as my golden sprinkle of goodness. Thank you, Leslie. That was quite thank you.
Myla, I'm so excited to have you here. I saw you on stage for American Staffing Association's event, and I just remember, I think I might have texted you, Leslie, and been like, wow, that was really, really great. And I just wanted to hear more about you. So we're just so excited to have you. We like to start this off with a little rapid fire before we dig into some of the meatier topics. So quick answers, no overthinking. Just go with your gut. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Are you a morning bird or a night owl?
Morning.
Physical notebook or digital notes?
Physical.
I love that. I'm a notebook person too, but I kind of sway in the middle. Absolute silence, or do you have a playlist?
Oh, I have a playlist.
Okay. Do we want to dig into that now or later?
We'll do it later. I mean, the more
Okay.
dramatic it is, the cry of
Okay.
the, I need drama. And
Okay.
it can't be, it can't be in English. It messes up my brain.
Interesting. Okay, we'll dig into that. Most used emoji in Slack or text?
I'm not very good at emojis. I guess it's just a very simple thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, like it. Coffee, tea, or anything else?
Coffee.
And if you could have one superpower for 1 week only, would you choose reading people's minds or super speed or something else?
Knowledge, to be able to comprehend it quickly. If you ever watch that movie Limitless, I want to be that guy.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
All right. So we know that it's coffee, and we will just get right into it because I think that is an important piece to know about someone. Morning person, have your coffee to get going. You've got a great playlist, kind of all the things. So Myla, I think of you when I hear the stories that you share, and I hear the stories about you delivering things to clients firsthand. Your spam story, if no one's familiar with that, they need to look up Myla Ramos and spam to understand what I'm talking about. But there are so many journeys of your, just career from starting the company all the way to where you are today. So I'm curious, is there a moment in particular, big or small, that really helps shape the way the way that you lead and the way you show up for your clients, your team, company, family, all the things.
I was kind of thinking about that in some of the prep questions. And I remember coming in the US, you know, at a young age, seventh, eighth grade, and watching, and I'm going to date myself now, right? There was this show called Dynasty. Do you know which one it is? It's
Yes.
these very glamorous women with big hair and perfume and matching outfits. And I was thinking that that was the epitome of the American dream. If you could be like the women in Dynasty all dressed up, that would mean you've made it. That's the golden dream, right? And the closest thing I could get to that, because you watch them getting ready on TV, was this wondrous thing. This was my goal in life at age 14, was to afford Jean Naté cologne. Because
Yes.
that
That's
equated to
exactly
me
what it
as glamour. And I used to walk by a store called Mervyn's. I don't know if you guys know the store. It's a long time ago. It's dead now. And this really cheap perfume, I see now as cheap, was the epitome to me of making it. And then getting a job, and over the years, finally affording it and getting it, I thought I had made it. And getting that job to me, I guess, was the trigger, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, you can get anything done. If you have a job, then you can afford money. You can afford the glamorous things you always thought was the dream job. Even if it was just a $2 bottle of Jean Naté cologne, which is the cheapest, smelliest, yuckiest cologne you could possibly imagine. And being able to afford that out of my stupid little job at the mall. And I worked at a place called like Contempo, which was like, again, I'm dating myself, super 80s girl, right?
Yes, I remember all of those. Yeah.
With the plastic bracelets, I thought was it. I'm like, wow, if little old me nothing could get a job and save up on my own to buy what I want, what can I do if I could help people do this? So I know it's really silly, but I guess that was the first trigger, was being able to buy out of my own paycheck, of my own money, a bottle of Jean Naté perfume from Mervyn's.
Mhm.
It's really stupid and crazy, but it really was. I'm like, wow, if I could do this, what else can I get if I work super hard and really, really
Right.
hard, right? So I guess that was the origin story, realizing it could be done. I wish it could be more impactful or romantic, but it really was a bottle of Jean Naté. And
Right.
please,
Right. It's those little things, and I just looked it up. It's a crisp citrus scent with notes of lemon, lavender, and musk. I don't know.
Do you
Myla,
still wear that?
no, God, no. I think it's at the dollar store now.
they sell it at Walmart. It's on
Yep.
Amazon. It's funny. I do remember Gina Tay. I remember the commercial, the
Yes.
splash, like the
Right.
whole thing. And it is those moments though that make you realize, someone had said to me once, when did you know you made it? And I said, I haven't made it. I'm still learning and growing. And, it's those little moments though that stick in our heads, those Gina Tay moments of, if I can do this, I can do anything to help other people too. And those are the things I think, Myla, because I know your story with the other founders of your company and why you started and how you came together. And you do have incredible stories as a team as to how you started SearchPros and what was behind the reason behind you doing it. But knowing those other pieces of your story, kind of even before that, it's important to know where that comes from. And I think for me, when I think of that, it's part of what keeps you grounded and humbled, because we always know where we came from and our roots and what drives us, and we want to make sure we're able to give those opportunities for other people who can also have that Gina Tay moment, so to speak, in their lives. And that's the beauty of what you're offering and giving them.
Well, I love that Gina Tay story. I know it's not as big as you want it to be, but it's a core moment that you clearly remember. And I just want to iterate, Myla, that you have a knack for storytelling. Because even though it seems small, you're just very good at describing that moment and bringing people in. So I appreciate you sharing that moment. And it's independence. Everyone wants you know, that.
Mhm.
So that's a big moment. So let's talk about something that you believed earlier in your career. You've been in the industry for a long time. You built the business up from scratch. Maybe something that you used to believe so fiercely that you've kind of had to let go of with more experience.
So, as an immigrant, watching my parents work, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and putting myself, that whole story.
Mhm.
I used to, no, I take pride in helping people get a job. It was a noble idea, right? Hey, let me find you a career path. Let me find you a job. And I used to equate the hard work and effort equals great job.
Mm.
And it has changed so much with COVID and AI. Now, being a good employee or doing a good job doesn't necessarily equal working hard anymore. Or do and people don't want to work hard anymore. I get it, right? So I used to take pride in being the first one at work and being the last person at work. That was a badge of honor that I was the hardest working,
Mhm.
Gen Z, Gen X. I don't even know what generation I'm supposed to be in. But coming from that era and being an immigrant, you took pride in burning yourself out and working 12, 16-hour days. That was your badge of honor. That showed why you progressed, especially as an owner operator. Today, with COVID and understanding limitations and finding yourself, not just as an employee or a worker, but even more than that, AI has changed everything. It's no longer how hard you work, it's about how smart you work, how
Mhm.
efficient you are. So, you know, AI has institutionalized work completely. Really, the word is not lazy, but really efficient people doesn't have to put in the same time as people that work their butts off 12 hours, and more than likely they put out the same output. So finding that balance has been is a crazy journey we're on right now. We're all trying to figure out that balance between
Right.
working hard and leaning on AI and showing the work ethic, but being more efficient and compliant. That's a crazy crossroad that we're all in right now. And if you're not embracing that or trying to figure that out, because your people, at least my team, they want to have time to binge watch whatever Netflix new show is out there. They want to have time to relax. So that expectation of how many phone calls did you make, the KPIs of our industry, right? Even just clock in, clock out is no longer relevant. It's about what they're bringing. So that to me is such a crazy thing that's happening that we're all trying to learn along the way.
Mhm.
And I don't know the answer. We're just kind of trying to ride the wave and make sure we're somewhere in the wave. It's,
Right.
Yeah.
it's crazy out there right now.
It is interesting because I think there's still organizations out there that they do the clock watching still. There are some, and I'm sure that, that you've come in contact, we've all come in contact with that before. And I think we've had conversations recently, Leslie, about that mentality and trying to unlearn
Mhm.
that mentality
It's
because
hard.
it's
Yeah.
hard because it's
Because we,
ingrained in you and how you
we
grew
we
up.
work this our whole lives clocking in and clocking out and saying, hey, yeah, I got up at 6 today and got all this done and I'm working till 6. Look at me, I'm amazing CEO. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, what did you get done? So I had a client come to me one time, like just recently, and say, hey, we think your contractor's working 2 jobs. And I'm like, oh, is there a conflict of interest? And they're like, well, no, but they're having 2 jobs and I'm paying them. I'm like, oh, well, are they doing the job you need them to do? Like, yeah. So what's the problem?
Right.
If
Why do
there's
you
no
care?
conflict of
Yeah. Right.
exactly, if there's no conflict of interest, you're getting the work done, you're paying for what you're getting, what's the problem? But it's this whole, but they work for me. They're supposed to be mine from 8 to 5. I'm like, well, what are
Yeah.
they going to do for the next 4 hours if they figure out how to do that? Twiddle their thumbs, right?
Right.
So, but it's an education process. And a lot of people, including me, have reservations. It can be done correctly, but a lot of people are also taking advantage of it. So it's finding that balance is really hard. And I guess we're all just still learning, but that's definitely a big change from when I started the company to my immigrant story of you just work hard. And it's like, no, you got to work smart. You got to work hard to work smart. That's kind of
Right.
the 2-part series. So,
Yeah. Well, and people still, if you're performing, to your point, then you're performing. If you aren't performing, then sometimes you do need to go back to, well, what
right.
are you doing with the basics of what is your call volume? What does your outreach look like? How much time are you spending on this? And if they're not taking advantage of the tools that are available to them today, why not? So if anything, there's still an opportunity to identify performance issues and challenges with people if they're not performing. But while those high performers, it's an opportunity to be even more high performing because they're able to then do, all of the things to be more productive. And Leslie, we do talk about that a lot as it relates to unlearning something because that's how we grew up in the industry as well. As you want to be the first one there and the last one gone. But then you hear those stories, and I saw it in my own mom who, was a CEO of multiple credit unions, and, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not exercising, you're not doing all of the things that you should be doing, whether it be throughout the day, which again is something I've had to unlearn and I help show by example with my team is if I want to go for a bike at 2 o'clock and that's the only time I can fit it in to get it in, I'm going to do that. I'm also a high performing, achiever and will know, when to do these different things. But I think you're absolutely right. When we look at this moment, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, Myla, the hiring, the workforce expectations, technology, it all continues to shift at once. This isn't necessarily new for our industry. We've had a lot of shifts and changes, over the years. But to your point, with AI accelerating that change almost daily, I know we're all trying to learn and keep up with and be, ahead of that curve. It's near impossible when every day something changes, but it is reshaping how companies hire. So how your clients hire, how they interact with you, whether it's, sourcing, screening, interviewing, all of the stages of bringing people to work and the organizations and how they bring in talent of the future. So when you think of your business and all of these things happening in real time, what's the question you find yourself really wrestling with the most right now?
So many.
I know. It's so hard, Violet.
Right, it's so hard, right? But I think it's, the first is intent and capability. Like we can
Mm,
teach a lot of things, right? I would rather have intent rather than ability because we can teach ability.
mhm.
And the first is being open-minded. I've interviewed some really great people that have been in the industry for a long time. And one of the first things they say, oh, AI scares me. I don't use it. They're going to lead you wrong. They hallucinate. And I'm like, ooh, you're out. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah,
If you can't even understand that there are pros and cons and you're open to learning it, then and a lot of them, and it's because our industry was for so very, very long relationship based,
right.
right?
Mhm.
It's a relationship of this person and it's been successful for them for the last, I don't know how many decades our industry's been around. And it's like, yes, relationship is important, but it's different. You can't cold call people to give you a job anymore. There's no one ads, there's no career builder or monster. All the things that just 4 years ago existed no longer exist. And if you did not or do not have the capacity or want the capacity to learn, it's okay if you've never used AI. But if your answer is, I am so intrigued by it and I want to learn about it, then the conversation continues. But when the conversation starts with, oh no, I have my own book of business. My customers love me. I don't need to use AI. I've got this. I'm like,
Right,
do you really? Because your customer's probably about to go out if they don't use AI either. So, you know,
right,
so
exactly.
flexibility and open-mindedness, because we're all learning moving forward now. The skills
Right.
that we learned are changing so fast because AI can fix so many of those things. I mean, like, did you know that there's an AI Appreciation Day in 2 days on July 16th? Like, I thought that was a joke. Somebody was telling me, hey, it's AI appreciation. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? That didn't exist last year. And now it's a national thing? I'm like,
Right.
how did that happen? How did AI become institutionalized into the fabric of our lives? There's an AI day. That doesn't make sense to me. But that just shows you how fast. And if people that we're interviewing or talking to do not recognize that yet, it's not my job to educate them. I got other things to worry about.
Right.
So
Exactly.
does that, I don't know. That's kind of how we look at it.
Yeah. Yep. Always be learning and growing. It's a mindset and a cultural piece too, to always be learning, always be growing. And listen, we've all been in the industry a long time. We unfortunately a lot of times we lead by fear of the industry going away. Every time there's a change, workers are going to lose their jobs, sales reps are going to lose their jobs. Right now, marketers are going to lose their job. Everyone's going to lose their job. If you look at
Right.
it and take the fear out of it and look at what that opportunity can bring to
Yes.
you on the other side, think of the opportunity and the success being so much greater than the fear. And the outcome of that is so much greater than the fear. But we let fear and life get in our way. And I think that's something for you too. I might add that, Leslie, to our interview question, something around being fear based, because we really
Yeah.
want people who think
No, I
opportunity based.
I
Yeah.
am like
Yeah.
so excited. I used to compete. I have always competed with the big boys, right? Where when people ask how many people you have in your team, and I tell them, they're like shocked. And when they ask, oh, who created this RFP proposal? Because RFP proposals are these massive
Mhm.
1,000-page documents. And typically the big boys have, dozens of people working in this, right? And I'm like, there's one of me, maybe two. And now I'm like, no, dude, I've got an agentic team of 20 people that's
Right.
researching. So you can actually compete at the level of the big boys
Yes,
if you know how to use it correctly, right?
exactly.
But
That's
that's all
great.
what we're all learning to do. So,
Yeah.
like you said, and I think coming from my roots being scrappy, we've always MacGyvered everything. So it was easy to change. Like I have my whole Change the World Tuesday series, right? It's always been a matter of change for us. So AI was just another change venue. So
Mm.
that's made it a little bit easier to swallow all the rapid fire. Don't get me wrong, I still have team members that are like, what? No, I'm like, yes, little by little, bite-sized pieces.
Yes.
Let's start Copilot. Let's clean up your email just a little bit. Okay, we
Yeah.
don't need an
Yeah.
agent. We could just clean up your verbiage. It's kind of like spell check, but better.
Right.
So stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to hear you speak and just having conversations with other leaders too, because the scrappiness, just the notion of like, we'll figure it out, that type of mentality, I think, is so unique. And I feel like it's ingrained in a lot of high level senior executives that we were speaking to. So that just it reaffirms me every time I hear that. I have a feeling you're going to have a really good answer for this one. The next one I want to talk about is because you have such an interesting story of how your how you grew up and how you built this company, and I want to talk a little bit about the people that have shaped you. So, whose voice or presence has shaped you the most?
My grandmother, she grew up in the 20s, 30s. So after I was born, my parents had this wonderful opportunity to go to America as tourists. And that Civil War broke out, and I got left behind. So I grew up with my grandmother, who was a widow, um, in a convent. So it's the opposite of what I am now, I guess, but the foundation of it all. So imagine a nunnery where 6 p.m. the bell would ring, the whole nunnery would kneel would kneel wherever we are and pray the rosary. Eh, Philippines is 99% Catholic. So your role as a woman was serve God first and foremost, serve your husband, which there's no divorce, have babies, cook food, take the children to church, serve God. So that service mentality of make sure everyone around you is taken care of, make sure there's food on the table for everyone was the foundation. I grew up. And then my parents came back, 15 years later, 14, 15, and said, let's take you to America. And we landed in Baltimore, by the way. So first of all, you take me from this countryside village church with no running water or electricity. You drop me in the middle of Baltimore, Maryland. The snow itself, like shivering day and night, was like, I couldn't believe how cold it was, that it would go down to your bones. Like, no matter how many pieces of clothing I wore, I was just always cold. I didn't know what a sandwich was. Like, it was ridiculous that you would put 2 pieces of bread and a cold piece of meat and eat that. So imagine being a 7th grader coming to work. I remember a foil ball. So I would put rice and put a piece of fish and then put it in a foil and wrap it, and that would be in my pocket. That was not very popular because of the smell. And they would bring me this thing called a peanut butter jelly, and I ate a peanut butter. I'm like, what is this? Why is there sticky stuff in my mouth?
Oh my God.
So I have never been taught to lead. It was always serviced. And so when you ask me, like, beginning of this, oh, I heard you speak, I heard you talk, I'm like, I wasn't trying to be funny. I really didn't know what peanut butter was. I wasn't trying to lead. I just didn't know any better. So I asked this question. But because of all of that, it's never been about, you go do this, or I want to show off to people. When I worked for Robert Half, they're one of the most known people for their SLAs and KPIs. Everything's about numbers. When our manager asked for, you need to make 25 calls a day, I'm like, well, my expectation coming from that background is I need to do 50. And I did, right? When they said come to work at 7, I was there at 6. I never complained, never thought about it. When they said, hey, I need you to do this, I did double, whatever. It was never an excuse of, well, I didn't know how to speak the language, or, gosh, I already worked 12 hours. Why am I working 14? It never occurred to me to question things that were told to me.
Right.
Because I came from nothing. So it didn't matter that you wanted me to work 12 hours. I would work 24 if I could stay awake. But, stuff like that. So I guess that has always been. And then as you grow up and you grow into the business, they start putting you in front and say, do this. I'm like, no. And at first it's always been, and I guess that's a very hard change. I've always led by example. You do this, and this is how you do it. You get to a certain size and you can't do that anymore. Example doesn't work anymore because you can't be all to everyone and show everything. So we grew steadily until the point where my partners brought me aside, shook me, slapped me around and said, we can't all 3 be recruiting at the same time. You are going to be sales. And I'm like, I don't want to be sales. I don't even like people. I'm scared of people. I have nothing to talk to them about. People talk about sports or drinks or movies. I'm like, I don't watch sports. I don't know anything about sports. I don't know anything about movies. I don't watch movies. I listen to Filipino music. I don't know who Madonna is and why she's a virgin. Why do I know these things? They're like, and I've never drank. So they're like, what am I going to do at a bar? I don't know what to do at a bar. I don't even know what to order. I don't like beer. So I remember those early years, like 5, 6 years into the company, my partners were like, no, you have to be the salesperson. We don't care that you don't know anything. We'll figure it out. And I remember doing role plays with them. And they're like, okay, we're going to be at a bar. You're going to come into a bar and you're going to have a conversation. You're going to start with the weather and you're going to order a drink. I'm like, but I don't like wine. It tastes horrible. They're like, okay, we're going to get you a margarita. You can drink a margarita. You're like, okay, I don't like margarita. So you learn. So those are kind of the shaping stories that every inch of the way. And I think that's what my team follows. If I'm not afraid to do what I asked them to do and I've done it and I've done it with them, maybe it's not so bad that they do it.
Right.
And from time to time, I'll get out of my office and I'll sit with the recruiters and recruit with them. And from time to time, I'll get out of recruiting and I'll sit with onboarding and onboard a couple of people with them. And they're like, well, crap, if she can do 20 onboarding in 1 week, you better get yourself to 40 because that's all you're doing. So I guess that's kind of the difference of it. So when you say go speak, I'm like, I wasn't trying to be funny about spam. I really had a can of spam in my purse. I mean,
But that's the beauty, Myla, of your stories is they come from the heart, real life experiences And they are unique and different from what most people have. And that, again, the more you share about your upbringing, the story with your grandma and your parents, the more, people learn that this is why you are the way that you are. When you think about the spam story or eating rice with fish, all the things, it's, what has helped shape you be the leader who you are and is why your team wants to be right next to you and follow you along that journey. So thank you for being so open and sharing that even more. I highly encourage our listeners, if you have a chance to see Myla speak live or read, definitely follow her on LinkedIn, read her stories. There's a lot of really interesting things that they've done as a business starting out and how they've remained successful over the years and continue to use that really servant leadership style that you bring to the table, Myla, leading with that service mentality. Your clients love you for that, and so do your team. Myla, where can listeners connect with you or follow along with your work? I mentioned LinkedIn. Is that the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, it really is. It's the only place. Honestly, I didn't even know, like, somebody told me, oh, okay, you guys are doing something really cool and you have a brand and you have a story. Like, for 21 years, we've been heads down just working. And actually, it was Leslie that said, you guys should do like marketing and like PR. Like, really? Why? we really didn't know. No one has really heard our story until maybe this last year when we
Yeah.
started putting some articles out and we got invited to some speaking. And they're like, wow, this is really cool. I'm like, why? Because this is all we know. This is not unique. This
Right.
is just everyday life. I didn't know that there was a difference. So it's still like mind boggling to me when you guys see it. But yeah, no, I don't have LinkedIn on our website, of course. We write some articles and some blogs sometime, but that's really all we have.
All right. Well, all you have is a lot. So
Yeah.
as we wrap up, I think what really stands out consistently is you always come back to people and not as a talking point, but as the actual foundation of how you lead and how you've built SearchPros. So thank you for sharing not just what you've built, but how you thought about it when you were actually building it. Super grateful for this conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, everybody.
This was fun. All right, that's a wrap on Myla's episode, and it was as good as I thought, and probably more. What did you think?
I agree completely. And I love when guests start to warm up and open up and share personal stories. And I know we like to think about what's that take three. I'm going to jump in with my first at service mentality with Myla and her sharing the story of being raised by her grandmother in a convent and her parents leaving and coming back and taking her at the age of 15, moving to the United States and landing in Baltimore and listening to those stories. But what stood out to me was really where she was raised to be in a service mentality, that servant mentality, and really serve God first and foremost. And then she went into servicing other people, but always taking care of everyone.
Yeah,
And when I think of her as a leader, and I think about the nonprofits they've set up and they support and what they do for their teams, it's coming from a place as a leader. She never expected to be a leader. She always expected to be in service of leaders. And
hmm
now transitioning into that leader, you can see in her the way she leads, the way she interacts with people. She's, very humble, but also wants to take care of people, which I
yeah,
think is really a fantastic trait of hers. Janate, I think is how it's pronounced. She kicked off with one of her stories and that piece of wanting to be able to give other people that experience. She really brought that full circle in her talk when it came to, where that really stemmed from with her growing up in that service mentality.
yeah.
That
She's
stood out to me.
such a good storyteller. I mean, she doesn't even realize how good of a storyteller she is. Uh, but yeah, I love that too. When I heard her talk about just taking care of it, just that's ingrained in her. Yeah, the other thing too that stood out to me, she mentioned something about working smarter. And it's not a novel concept, but it's more of like how she operates now when she's even just looking for folks to bring on board to her company. And the topic of AI came up, surprise, surprise, but just more about you don't have to know how to do everything, but you have to be open to it. And just the importance of that learning stance that we talk about quite a bit. And yeah, it's a good way to lead because, again, you're not asking folks to have everything figured out because we're all in this together trying to figure out how to make our lives more efficient
Right.
and do everything better and smarter and but I liked her notion of that in terms of her story about meeting someone and if they come in with a closed mindset and not open to just learning and figuring things out with them, it's an automatic no. So I thought that was a nice story.
I love how she also leads by example. So when she was talking about, being in the sales role and getting 20 submits in a day, whatever that may be, her team. And I know a few leaders who are like this, and I've always admired this about them, where they travel around to the local markets and they're, in the pit, basically working with the recruiters and making the calls and doing the things, staying true to your roots, really, of where you came from and what you learned. And her roots are recruiting and then her team having her go into sales. That was funny to hear the
Yeah.
stories of how they, had her do that, but I love the fact that she continues to this day to really lead by example, so when she needs to, she's rolling up her sleeves, she's doing the work, she's, leading and selling and doing all of the things, for the team to see that and know, "Wow, if she's still doing that, I need to step up and do it too." I think speaks volumes to the culture that they have and that they've created.
Yeah.
So leading by example.
Yeah. I love like she used the word scrappy. And I love that mentality of someone that you can lead an organization, but you can also roll up your sleeves and jump in if you need to. And she's someone who's kind of lived all of those roles before, so she's not afraid of it. So that was great.
Yeah.
Well, that was such a great conversation. And I know I saw her on stage a long time ago, what feels like, and was really excited to have her back on. So that was hopefully the start of more conversations with Myla. Thank you, Myla, if you're watching. We really loved having you on, and I know our listeners will love it too.
I know. It's so hard, Leslie, not to dig deep into some of these questions because after we'll be like, what about this? What about that? We only have so much time. So we hope you enjoy. And like we suggest, follow her on LinkedIn if you have an opportunity to hear Myla speak and definitely encourage her to publish a book. I think she has a very interesting story to tell from childhood to entrepreneurship and one we can all learn and grow from. So honestly, we're still learning, right?
Yeah, we are. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to Honestly, We're Learning. If you liked what you heard, you can drop us a like, review, or comment. And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.